Hey everyone, welcome to our fifth Python tutorial. And today, no, is it fifth? Our sixth Python tutorial. And today we are going to be venturing into something a little bit new because by now we've covered all of the basic intro level concepts to Python programming. And it's time that we move up, challenge ourselves a little bit. It's not going to be too hard, but it's just going to be something that requires a little bit more understanding and involvement. So today we're going to be covering conditional statements in Python. So conditionals in Python are logic statements that help our program identify an output and take a specific action, and conditions are represented through if-then statements. So why are we using conditionals and if-then statements? So conditionals attach and connect our programming, right, what we're doing here, to the real world surrounding it. So in the real world, we do a lot of decision making, that makes up a large part of our lives. So when we're writing programs, it's important that we implement this decision making whenever we're creating programs that are going to be useful. So decisions ultimately change the course of our programmings. So one way to think about it is with driving. So yeah, that's a real world example. A lot of my friends are starting to drive now. I think I have to wait a couple months before I can start driving. But basically, one simple example would be that when you think of driving, it would state, an if-then statement would state, if you are under the age of 16, you are not permitted to begin driving. So that would be the simple if-then statement, right? If you are under the age of 16, then you cannot drive. That's the simple if-then statement. So let's just start out, and I will write a quick example for what an if-then statement will look like in Python. So let me go ahead and do that so you guys can follow along. Okay. Okay, so here we have two quick examples of if statements. So let me just walk through the quick syntax of our if statements in Python. So here I'm creating a variable and I'm utilizing our user input and type conversion concepts just to simply say asking our user to input one number, and then right after here is where we have our if statement. So ultimately I'm saying if, using our keyword if, user num1, which is our variable, is less than 100. So we're ultimately using our comparison operators to check between user num1 and the value 100. And using that, ultimately if this evaluates true, then this body will run, and if not, it will not run. So let's go ahead and we can test out this program. And right here, right, so let me just run it one more time. 3, and we're saying your first number is less than 100. And for our second number, it's going to be checking if it is greater than 100. So let me go ahead and put something greater than 100. Right, so then it says your second number is greater than 100. So what this last line is doing, and what it's trying to show, is that within our if statements, as well as our loops that we'll see later on, indentation is extremely important. Right, so the difference in indentation ultimately is the difference in what is being printed and what's not being printed. Right, so right here we have our indentation, and our second line under this if statement is not indented. So if it's not indented under the if statement, that means that it's not a part of our if statement. So this last line is gonna be running no matter what. It's almost as if this if statement is not here to that second line and to the compiler. So let me run it one more time, and I'll do the opposite of what our program is checking for. So I'll write something greater than 100. Let me say 101 or 1002, I guess. And there, you see nothing is running because this if statement is evaluating to false. So for the second time, let's do something less than 100. Once again, I'll say 1. And once again, you can see this line is not being printed. But the last line, once again, is being printed as it is not part of our if statement. So that's just a quick example of what the if statement does. And to build upon our if statements, let's go ahead and take a look at what if-then else statements are and what they do. So let me go ahead and write a quick program for that as well. Right, so I've completed our if-then-else statement in Python. And with this if-then-else statement, it's similar to our previous statement, but in this case, if our if statement is evaluating to false, it will start by running and executing our else statement. So you can see right here, we have a little bit of a real-world example with our roller coaster ride. And right here, it's asking for our height in inches, and it will, using this height, will determine whether or not we are tall enough to ride on this ride. So let me go ahead and run it, and I'll just make up some height. I guess I'll just say like 75 inches. And it says, you are tall enough to ride, have a great time. And the other way around, let's say I do something that's not tall enough. Let's say I am 22 inches tall. It will say, you are not tall enough, sucks to suck. So it's a little bit of a mean program, but it just gives you guys a simple understanding of what exactly an if-else statement is doing. So next, once again, we're gonna be building upon our if and else statements with an else if statement. So let me go ahead and write a quick program on what an else if statement does and how it can be used in the real world. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Right, so I've completed the quick example of the if else statement in Python. And what this statement does is, once again, similar to what we've done in previous examples, where we have if the if statement evaluates to true, then it will run. If not, then it will go to the else if statement in this case. And if that's not true, it will execute the else statement. But the cool and interesting feature that goes along with else if statements is that you can have multiple else if statements upon else if statements. So right after, I could add multiple else if statements, and that would not affect the program in a negative way at all. So else if statements are just another feature that we can add to our if and our if else family. So right here, once again, there's a little quick example that will help you guys get a quick understanding of how the decision tree flows in these examples. And so that just gives you guys a quick example of all the different aspects that are utilized when discussing conditionals and especially if-then statements. And I encourage you guys to look over this often, because we will be using if-then statements all the time. And I will be giving you guys a couple challenge programs towards the end of our learning of flow control, and that will be after we discuss while loops and for loops as well. And I'll give you guys just a quick challenge program, and I hope it and I'm sure you guys will be able to walk through that and get it done, but it requires a little bit more understanding and a little bit more effort into conditionals and if-then statements. So once again, this program will be linked into the description of the video, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you.